Hi, this is Am here with the weekend edition of the Bulletin Board Heroes. I suppose it's the bank holiday weekend edition of the Bulletin Board Heroes here at Zach's Traders Cafe this Sunday, 24th of August, starting off with the FTSE 100, which has hit that red line there, the resistance line there from May, 93.30. We slightly below that on the Friday close, but end of day close above 93.30 and that red line. And we're looking for the top of the rising trend channel from June, as high as 9,500 by the end of September. RSI overbought, but we don't really care given how strong the trend is. And obviously, we haven't been below the 50-day moving average since the beginning of May, which is, well, say it's a record, but it's obviously a great show of strength. We do break down the floor of the channel there, 91.50, potentially with support, not really thinking of anything lower than that. Worst rug pull would be back down to the 50-day line, but perhaps not below it. 89.80. Moving on to the DAX, and here you can see that we've managed to consolidate at the better levels, rather irritatingly still hanging around that July resistance line. That was supposed to be a resistance line to break. We've just sort of fudged that particular line. The levels here, really, the 50-day moving average rising around 24,000, and obviously the August support there, 23,500. Above the latter level, looking for 25,500 by the end of next month, which is the top of that rising trend channel from the spring of last year. In terms of the RSI configuration, we've had 2/3 RSI 50 rebounds, RSI 50 plus rebounds since the beginning of the month, which should be a leading indicator on the upside over and above the way that that 50-day line is rising quite nicely now. Dow is next, and here the situation is that obviously this market finding a bit of difficulty, or did find a bit of difficulty in terms of breaking 45,000. It was about fourth or fifth or maybe 10th time lucky in terms of breaking out, which we did on Friday, and did that quite comprehensively. We were looking for the top of the May 2024 channel there, 47,500 as an end of September target, as a best case scenario target, and above 45,000. That's hopefully where we'll go. We might even get there ahead of time. RSI 50 rebound there as well. But obviously the big deal here is that we've smashed through record resistance. Worst case on the downside now is we've got to test the 50-day line, 44,100 as support ahead of a move to the top of that channel. Onto the cryptos that we look at. The first one is Bitcoin, and here we've settled into basically bouncing off the old May resistance, 112,000. That was a potential scenario. The only negative at the moment, well, a negative at the moment, is the way that we've had two RSI failures at the 50 level. So there's still a risk of dragging down while we have no end of day close back above the 50-day moving average at 116,000. We can get through that 116,000 level, then we are still looking for this market to head to the top of the rising trend channel from back in March, which I'm swiftly adjusting to the right configuration, up to 135,000 by the end of next month. But obviously everything here depending on breaking that 50-day line and ideally breaking 120 as quickly as possible. It's surprising that given how many companies are buying Bitcoin for their treasury, that we haven't seen this market stampede to the upside. We do break down below 112, then 105, the obvious support there, which is last month's low area for this market. Onto Ethereum, which in recent days has actually been outperforming the situation of Bitcoin. And you can see that that is the situation at the moment. We had I've been covering Ethereum here for the last couple of months. We had the initial target here towards 3,300. That was the rising trend channel base from March. That has now been surpassed by the next resistance line projection, the red one there from back in February. The level there, 4,600, and basically above that, looking for 5,500, even 5,600, the upper parallel of that line by the end of September. So Ethereum certainly outperforming at the moment, which is basically what the great and the good said a couple of weeks ago. We've had multiple RSI 50 plus rebounds, so a couple to start the month and then another couple in the last week. So this looking very strong indeed, especially with the way that support points have come in well above the rising 50-day moving average. This stage only really back on the wrong side of 4,000 would upset the apple cart in terms of hitting 5,500 plus. Ideally, we stay above recent broken resistance there around 43.80. Moving on to gold, and here it's been a rather dull market of late. We've been fearing a potential test to the downside, but so far we've actually managed to bounce off the floor of that rising trend channel from April. Resistance line there from back in April is at around 34.10, so end of day close above 34.10. We could be looking at as high as 3,800 by the end of next month on the basis that we've had a 4 to 5 month logjam, or at least since April, a logjam in the 3,300 to 3,400 band. Any rug pull hopefully will stay or keep this market on the right side of 3,200. Moving on to the stocks, and starting off with a frequent flyer here, which has been Alien Metals. Here we've managed to hit the initial target there on the nose, 0.18, and we're looking for up to 0.28 now by the end of next month. Nice saucer-shaped turnaround for the shares, punctuated by an unfilled gap to the upside, well, a gap to the upside that we had at the beginning of July. You can see there's multiple RSI 50 rebounds, which gives this market a very good look, as does the way that recent support has come in well above the rising 50-day moving average. Upside at the moment, value while we're above, at least while we're above 0.15, recent broken resistance. Onto Cloudbreak, which seems to be refocusing itself very well at the moment. Here the charting situation is the aftermath of an unfilled gap to the upside through a rising 50-day line. We've hit our initial target there, 0.29, and looking for our next target as high as 0.55 by the end of next month, while we remain above the 0.25 area, i.e. Friday's support on an end-of-day close basis. Now and again, I get somebody making a rude remark about my charting. This week it was regarding Audioboom, and here the call was that an end-of-day close through £5 could deliver a target, the upper parallel there from February, as high as £7.50 by the end of next month. That was described as being the kiss of death, which is, as you can see from most of the charts here, probably a little bit unfair, given most of them go right. We've got rising 50-day and 200-day moving averages, so we're in the run-up to a golden cross. Hopefully by the first week of September, the run-up to a golden cross tends to be the strongest part of the cycle. The rally here started with a bear trap gap reversal, so that's another positive. And we've had two RSI 50 rebounds, leading indicators on the upside in the last couple of weeks. Probably all that's missing now, apart from the break through £5, is a proper break of the recent resistance there, just to prove that we actually are in a mid-move consolidation around the low, well, around the £4.65 area. But basically, we have done the job, and looking for as high as £7.50 on a quick break of £5 over the next week or two. This stage only back below the £4.30 level, the floor of the recent flag, delaying the upside scenario. Moving on to Alert, which is otherwise known as ALRT, otherwise known as Defence Holdings. Here we've had a decent, very decent setup with the unfilled gap to the upside and bull flag breakout, RSI 50 rebounds as well there, so 2 or 3 of those. Looking for the top of the channel there from June as high as 0.8 pence by the end of next month. Ideally, we stay above the price channel floor there, 0.44. On to EnergyPathways, where people may be still licking their wounds. What's interesting here, which I didn't discuss before, is the way that we've got an uptrend line in the RSI window, so that is bullish divergence. And we've also got a W-shaped turnaround, potentially. Just looking for the middle of the W there, 2.6 pence to be broken. That was also the old support back in October. So everything here hinging on an end-of-day close through 2.6, which would then maybe open up a move to 3.6 pence, which was the old July support. On the downside, the risk is that if we do make a new low below 2 pence, which now actually seems relatively unlikely with the bullish divergence, then we'll have to retest last autumn's 1.5 pence area. But the risk of that diminishing by the day at the moment. Moving on to Ferrexpo, where surprising, as I've said before, that we haven't had more of a positive reaction, given the possibility, obviously weak possibility of peace in Ukraine. Here you can see that we've got a decent setup though, with technical setup, with the support coming in above a rising 50-day line in recent days, and two RSI 50 rebounds. So that should mean that we're in a bull flag ahead of a move up to the 200-day moving average, 71 pence over the next 2 to 4 weeks as a minimum. An end of day close back below the 50-day line at 49 pence, delaying the upside scenario. Moving on to First Development, which seems to be doing what we wanted it to, or want it to do, which is make progress within a rising trend channel in place since the shares came to market. Top of the channel there, heading for 11.4 pence, and we're looking for that while we're above the area of the 50 and 200-day moving averages at 6.6 pence. So good start for First Development there in terms of market traction. On to Guardian Metal, which, as I said in my write-up today, a weekly article, probably the best RNS any company could deliver. Here we've got a rising trend channel, adjusted rising trend channel in place since May last year. Top of the channel there, heading for 103. We're looking for that as soon as the end of next month, while we're above recent broken resistance around 68 pence. So let's see if GMET can step up to the place. Obviously, Stanley Druckenmiller on the shareholder register, or at least his family office, is about as good as it gets. On to Landore, which I've been meaning to look at for quite a while, and here just the possibility of a turnaround on the basis that we bounced off a broadening triangle base, and looking for the shares to make progress at least up to the 200-day line around 3.5 pence. The reason for the relative bullishness is the way that we've got an uptrend line in the RSI window, so it's positive bullish divergence, and that is against the falling share price. So hopefully the break of the old July support there at 2.65 pence is a cue for a move to 3.5 pence over the course of September. On to Mila, and here you can see that we're making good progress above recent resistance. Around 0.65 pence, the longer we stay above that, the greater the chance of a retest of June resistance at 1.2 pence by the end of next month. RSI 50 rebound there, a leading indicator on a potential move to the upside. And if you look closely, you can see that the 200-day line is also rising. One would expect the 50-day line to join it soon. On to the last few. The first one is Vaultz Capital, which we can see then has bounced well. In fact, it was bouncing on a Sunday here, but bouncing well off the floor of that falling trend channel. We also bounced to the 200-day moving average, let's call it around 6.4 pence, and looking for an initial target here up to 12.75 pence over the next couple of weeks. Best case, maybe by the end of next month, up to 15 pence, especially while we can stay on the right side of that 200-day line. The only thing missing at the moment is for the RSI to get back above neutral 50 versus 46 at the moment. If you're a fan of the shares and looking for greater glory, then the falling trend channel will actually be up to the 20 pence area rather than the level I drew before around 12. On to Wishbone, which I think is the star of the show at the moment, the new Greatland Gold. And here we managed to basically hit that fourth target or fifth target, lost count, right on the nose in terms of a closing, end of day close, end of week close as well. And that leaves us flailing in terms of trying to find the next level on the upside. Probably the favorite area at this point would be resistance on the way down back at the end of 2023, around 2.15 pence. And we'd be looking for that by the end of next month, especially while we remain above Thursday's resistance around the 1.25 pence area. So above 1.25 on an end of day close basis, looking for 2.15 by the end of next month. Hopefully that is not the kiss of death. On to Westminster Group as the last contender, and here you can see that we've got a rising trend channel, the floor of the channel based at the 200-day moving average at 1.9 pence, so therefore Friday's 10% rebound is welcome. The other point to note is that we can probably adjust the upside a little bit more there as well, and we haven't had contract win news for a little while. Maybe there's something on its way this week. 3.75 pence, the target there by the end of next month, if we can get a swift end of day close back above the 50-day line at 2.3 pence, and obviously stay on the right side of that 200-day moving average. RSI closed above neutral 50 as well, so perhaps there is some news on its way. That's it for me today. More updates during the week.